Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian is a Weirdo. So today I'm going to be revisiting a project that I've done before. This is the Catnip Graveyard. It's a cat playmat that you put catnip in, and cats have a lot of fun playing in it. I do want to preface this, just like with anything that you put on any animal or around kids or anything, if this is not a safe toy to be around them. Like if you have a cat that likes to eat yarn, please do not make this. Like, I'm serious, please, it's not worth it. Not worth the vet bills and surgeries to remove it. I do not have a cat that plays with yarn. I've never had a cat that plays with yarn and tries to eat it, so I feel comfortable making it and like letting him play with it supervised. If your cat does not have that relationship with yarn, please don't make it. But this can also be used for other types of play mats and things like that. So what you're going to want to make this is you're going to want at least one color for your grass. I'm going to be showing you with both 1 and 2 colors how to double strand it and make kind of more textured, like vibrant grass. And then you're also going to want something for your tombstones. You can use multiple different grays and blacks if you want, but I'm just going to be using this. These are all Red Heart Super Saver colors. This is the color Patty Green. This is the color Spring Green, and this is the color Gray Heather. I'm also going to be showing you with a bunch of different size hooks. So this is the smallest one I'm using for the mat itself would be an H, so a 5mm hook, then a 6mm hook or a J, and then if you go into double stranding, I think that J or K or something bigger is going to be helpful if you are carrying twice the amount of yarn. And then once you get to the tombstones, then you would go down to like a 4, 4.5, because we want to make sure that polyfill and catnip that we put inside the tombstones stays in there. But these are the hooks that I'm gonna just show off. But for just one strand, I'm probably gonna use the J hook. So we're gonna be doing the loop stitch. It's a fairly easy stitch. It can be a little weird at first, especially if you're not quite sure where to place your hook, because you're not there's a possibility that when you're making the loop, if you don't secure it correctly, if you try to go and cut the loop to make the grass of the mat, that your stitch could fall apart, and we don't want that, because less pieces for our cat to eat, right? And obviously cutting in the middle of a crochet project is never ideal typically. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to do the half double crochet loop stitch and how to make a little mat for your best friend. Okay, so with a 6 to 8 inch tail to sew in later, I'm going to start with a slip knot, just like I would with any project. Now, there's no given stitch count for or stitch multiple for this stitch for the loop stitch, so you can make this as long or as short as you want to. So I'm just going to go with my 6mm hook and start chaining up to where I'm happy with the length. Now, I have a pretty small space, so I don't really have the ability to make a large one, but even if you do have space for a larger playmat, I think that something that's fairly small, you know, the size of a piece of paper, if not smaller, is ideal for these types of toys, because they kind of get rumpled up and then you straighten them out as your cat's done playing with them. So I would say if you want a large space covered, I would do multiple small versions rather than trying to fit a big one together, but you can try something different and let me know how that goes. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that that's probably about 20-25 stitches. Now, no matter how long you want it, you're gonna want to add one for a turning chain because we're gonna do a half double crochet. Now, if you have a hard time knowing when where to put your stitch, in this project we're gonna put our next stitch in the second chain from the hook. So if you move your hook back and forth, you can see that the yarn, the working yarn, is moving through this first loop right here, and that's our first chain from our hook. So for a half double crochet, we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go in just like that in the second chain from the hook, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all three. And then I'm going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all three, and I'm going to do that all the way down. So this first row is going to be all half double crochets. Nothing too fancy here. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of the row and I'm continuing to do my double crochets all the way down. Not my double crochets, sorry, my half doubles. So as we get to the last stitch in our last half double crochet, this is what our first row looks like. Then we're going to chain one, and I'm going to turn my work. So first we're going to half double crochet, and we're going to insert. So we're going to start the half double crochet by yarning over and inserting into our first stitch. Now I'm holding the yarn up like this because this is going to be how I determine my loop height. You can change that height based on your tension and how you hold your working yarn. This works really well with how I hold my yarn, which is predominantly with the pointer finger, and then I hold the rest with my remaining fingers. So I'm going to refer to the loop part of the stitch with this part right here, closest to me, being the front of the loop, and this right here being the back of the loop. So to start your loop portion of the stitch, as you've inserted into the stitch, you're going to go around the right side of the front of the loop, and you go around the left side of the back of the loop. You're going to hook that back part, and you're going to pull through. And you can adjust your loop size in this point. So if you want it bigger or smaller, you can adjust it here because we haven't locked the stitch yet. Then you're going to yarn over. You can let go of this loop right. Okay. So we're going to go into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over. We're going to insert. And you can pull before, another way to increase or change the size of the loop is before you ever go around and under and all of that, you can change the size with your non-dominant hand here. So I could pull back here and do my thing and end up with a larger loop. So I'm going to go around the front to the right, around the back to the left, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all three. And so sometimes, usually I try to keep the loop on my hand as I'm finishing the stitch. I just find it's a little bit easier. It doesn't get in the way as much, but it does take a little bit of kind of practice and coordination there. So whatever works best for you, works best for you. So I'm going to yarn over, insert, and let's show you one of those bigger loops. So I'm going to pull it larger on my left hand, and I'm going to go around the front to the right, around the back to the left, a little bit awkward just because it's bigger than my hand, and then you can pull it here to make that loop bigger, and then I'm going to lock this stitch in by finishing through 3, and you can see that loop is a lot larger than the ones next to it. To undo it, it's very easy. You just frog that one stitch, and even though you locked the stitch, you can undo it very easily. It's not like a permanent knot. So with this, with the loop stitch, oftentimes we do it where it's just facing one direction, because when you make the loops, you're making the loops on the other side of the fabric that you're working. So it's usually a 2-row repeat, and that's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to finish the rest of this row doing the loops all the way down, and then I'm going to show you what I will do for the next round. Okay, so I'm getting to the last 2 stitches of the round. So I'm going to finish this. Now, depending on how dense you want your grass or your loop stitch to be, because there's a bunch of different applications for this, is what you can have your alternating stitch be. So you could do a single crochet and have your loop stitch be a lot more dense with loops. You could do a half double crochet, double crochet, whatever you want to put in the middle or in between your loop stitch rows, you can absolutely do. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to continue to do half double crochets. So I'm gonna chain 1 and turn my work, and I'm going to half double crochet, just regular half double crochet, all the way back down the row. So I'm going to get to the end of the row, and then I'm going to show you how I do a double-stranded color if you want to see how that looks, especially for something like grass or hair or however you decide to use the loop stitch. It can look really cool and dimensional, having multiple shades, and even having variegated colors in here looks super cool. This is a stitch that so many different yarn colors and types look really cool in. So let's finish this row and I'll show you that. Okay, so now that I finished the row that I did just the half double crochets all the way around, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little slip knot. And obviously you can add the yarn however you want, but just to kind of show you how it can look, I'm going to do it like this. And then pull that tighter. Okay, just like that. So I already did my chain 1. So so you can see that I'm pulling both pieces of yarn together like I normally would. So I'm going to start this just like I would anything else. It's really just about making sure that you get both pieces of yarn when you do your stitch. Again, you would probably want a larger hook, so starting at a J and then going up to see what you want it to look like. So I'm going to yarn over, insert into the next stitch. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to go around the right of the front of the loop yarns, and then I'm going to go to the left of the back, pull through, yarn over with both pieces of yarn, very important, and then pull through everything pull through everything just like that. And it can be a little bit hard to see, and that's why having a larger hook is a little bit easier. So that's what it looks like when both loops are pulled through. It looks really cool, kind of like watermelon-y color. So yarn over, insert, let's do it again. It's a little bit easier once you kind of get everything attached. Around the right of the front, around the left of the back, hook it, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 6 strings, yarn over, insert, around the front to the right, around the back to the left, pull through, yarn over, to the right, front, left of the back, yarn over, pull through everything. And so that's how you can do multiple colors, and it looks so good when you cut it. Like I said, if you're using this stitch for hair, if you're using this for grass, anything like that, it looks super cool. So I'm gonna finish this round and then keep going and just make it to the size and the colors that you want. Really, there's no rules with this one. So so yeah, I'm just gonna keep going, and let's see what we end up with. Okay, so I finished my little cat mat, and let's see how it measures. So this is 15 rows, and it's measuring about 9 inches wide, and from top to bottom it's about 6.5 inches tall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and cut the loops. Now, it might seem intimidating to have to cut all these loops, but because you built them in a row, it's actually pretty easy. So if you look at them and how they're in a row, you can go through with a pair of scissors or snippies, whatever the hell you got, and just cut a bunch at a time. So just like that, just trying to get your scissors through. And it cuts pretty easy, just like that. So what I did is I did a couple rows of this darker green, and then I did one loop row where I did both colors, and then I switched colors. So just gonna go through and cut these, you know, maybe. And they're not going to be all exactly the same height. If that's something that you want for whatever you're working with, you can go and fix that, but I don't really care that much. This is a cat toy. My cat has low standards. He's genetically predisposed to have low standards because he's my son. So yeah, I'm just going to cut all of the grass like that, and then we're going to work on the tombstones, which are super simple, and I'm just going to kind of freehand. I'll walk you through what I do, but you can make them however you want. Okay, so now we are going to make some gravestones, and you can really make these however you want. I'm going to kind of freestyle them. I made this one first. The way I ended it kind of ended up looking like a little tea bag, which I thought was cute. So you can have things end up pointier or rounder or taller, whatever you can do for this. I'm going to show you how I made something similar to this shape, and I'll show you what you need. So you're going to need your gravestone color. Again, this is Red Heart Super Saver in the color Gray Heather. You're going to need a 4mm hook. This is just a preference. If you want something a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, go for it. You're going to need a needle to sew in your end. You can do what I did in this one where you crochet it together, but if you want something a little bit rounder, it's a little bit easier to get with the needle. Then I prefer using a stitch marker just because if you're trying to get things to be kind of the same size, you want to have a couple headstones that are kind of the same size. It's easier to do when you can count your rows like this. Then for mine, and this is optional, you can use polyfill and catnip. Just like with all of this, with doing something with yarn, doing something with polyfill, you want to make sure that your cat is okay with it. Your cat's not going to have problems with it. You want to make sure you're paying attention to your cat when they're playing with the toy to make sure that they're not doing something that's unsafe for them. If your cat's going to eat the polyfill, if your cat's going to eat the yarn, it's not worth it for a cute toy. It's just not. So, but my cat does not have a problem with it. So this is some catnip I got at Walmart. And we're just going to go ahead and make something similar to this little headstone right here. Some other options, what I did with my first catnip graveyard is I used Velcro that had some adhesive on the back, and I just cut little strips and I used that to stand them up. It was really weak. It wasn't very strong. Like, you just tap it and it would fall over like that, which was fine for a cat toy. It didn't need to be great, so I could set it up enough. But really, I mean, because you have your rows of your loop stitch, it really stands up between the rows pretty well anyways, especially once you fill it. So I don't feel like it's super needed. Just make sure anything that you put on there, your cat's not going to choke on, or your dog if you're making this as a mat for your dog. Whoever is using this, whatever's using this, make sure it's safe. So with that, let's get started. Okay, to start this version that looks something like this, we are going to start with a chain of 9 after we do our slip knot. So I'm going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I'm going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Then I'm going to do 6 single crochets back down the chain that we just made. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you're following along with this pattern, you'll notice that we have 1 chain left that we haven't put anything in, and in this chain we're going to put 3 single crochets. We're going to turn around and go back up that chain. So 3 single crochets there. Then we're going to do 6 single crochets back up the chain. And this is a good opportunity to weave in or crochet over the end here. It's going to end up back inside of the toy, so it's not super important that it's you know, woven in, but I do like that that it's a little bit more secure. The worst thing about filming tutorials is I film with my arms out a lot further than I actually crochet, so I always feel like I'm kind of bumbling around a lot, but I promise I crochet a lot more, a little bit more smoothly than this, a little bit I can say. Okay, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the last stitch. So that'll bring us to 18 stitches in round 1. Then we're going to move right into round 2. We're not going to chain up or anything. We're going to work in the continuous round. And so in this round, we're just going to go around and we're going to do a single crochet in every stitch. I'm going to go ahead and mark my first stitch just because I like doing that. And actually, not only in this row, but from row 2 to row 8, we're going to do a single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So 18 stitches all the way up, so it's going to give us that kind of, that straight, no increase, no decrease look, where it stays the same shape throughout, nice and straight up. And here we're creating the base of the tombstone. So I'll see you at the end of round 8. Okay, so now we've just finished round 8, where we haven't done any increases or decreases, and we're going to start working on the decreases to round out the sides. You can do this as fast or slow as you want. I like the way when it's kind of even on both sides, but it would look cool if you did it asymmetrically, so it looked like something was chipped off. Just have fun and play around. This is really an opportunity to kind of freestyle this. If you want, I'm just showing you one possibility. So for round 9, we're going to start with an invisible decrease. So to do that, and I think that there are a couple ways that people like to do invisible decreases, so I'm just going to show you one option. You don't even have to make it invisible if you don't like. Make that shit visible. Do not care. So first I'm going to go through the front loop of the first stitch, and then I'm going to go through the front loop of the second stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, so those front loops right there. Then I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through. And so that is going to be our decrease on that side. Then I'm going to do 7 single crochets. Now I'm to the other side and I'm going to do another invisible decrease. So through that front loop of the first stitch closest to me, and then, or I guess the next stitch was a better way to say it, and then the next stitch after that, I'm going to go through the front loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through 2. Then I'm going to do 5 single crochets. Now I'm gonna do an invisible decrease right here. So front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And that's gonna be the end of round 9 for me. Round 10, I'm gonna start with an invisible decrease. So next to that, front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to put a stitch marker there. I'm going to do 4 single crochets. This one there. Two invisible decreases next to each other. So these first 2 stitches, and the next set of 2. And this is going to make it decrease a lot faster because those decreases are right next to each other. And then 3 single crochets. And then a invisible decrease. So to pull that up and kind of show you how it looks right there, that's how my headstone looks right now. Gravestone, headstone, honestly I don't know the difference. Is there a difference? If there is, please educate me. I like being educated about things I don't know about, but also I'm too lazy to look up. So this is where I'm going to kind of leave the overall shape. I could keep going and do decreases all the way up in the next couple rounds till I get this kind of point right here, but I kind of like this kind of slightly rounded but slightly squared off look right here. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to fill it up. So I'm going to do that with my yarn still attached just in case something gets kind of pulled through. So I'm going to start by taking my polyfill and taking small clumps and putting it in there. Again, please, please, please know your pet. Please know your pet with all of this. See how that might get caught up in there. Halfway through, I'm going to add some of my catnip. I think adding a good amount of it is good. With catnip, you know, every cat I've had likes the kind of like, I won't say like fresher stuff. You know, they haven't been that selective, but if they like catnip it's not the toys that have like sat out for a long time that have been kind of like, I don't know, that smell more like a store or something probably than in catnip. The catnip's not as potent as it would be if it was like sealed up. So I like getting like bags or like the tubes of catnip. This is also this also has silver vine. I know that some like mixes will have that. Also, if you have fresh catnip and you want to dry it out to put it in here, that's cool too. Fancy. Catnip's really easy to grow. It's in the mint family, and mint is notoriously hard to kill if you have a bit of a black thumb, and it is a little bit what's the word? Does kind of spread out. So kind of make sure that as you're planting it, if you're thinking about planting it, you're planning on having the roots kind of spread out and take over a little bit. Not crazy, but enough. And then I'm gonna put more polyfill on top of that. Make sure you're able to sew it up. And then with that, I'm going to cut the string long enough to sew in the tail and sew it shut. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to pull the yarn through this loop. And you want to sew it up pretty well. It doesn't have to be beautiful because again it's for cats, but you do want to sew it up pretty well because you know, cats are predators and they will, you know, if they like catnip, they're gonna go for this. So just keep in mind that this is gonna get kicked and batted around quite a bit. So I'm just gonna do kind of a basic mattress stitch to start out. With the mattress stitch, you go from the outside in and you pull all of those outside loops. In towards the top. So you're just gonna sew that in. Now, you know, normally with kitschy stuff like this, I love to do like embroidery and stuff like that. That's gonna get ripped to shreds the minute that your cat starts playing with this. Their claws are gonna get caught in any pieces of yarn that are long, that aren't anchored down super well into the work. So like honestly, I just don't find it worth it. If you want to do that, go for it. I don't recommend any paint or puff paint or anything like that. You know, even if it's non-toxic, it's just it's not worth it. Make something fun and cute and easy for your pet, but you know, you do you. I know I keep saying that, but I really want to emphasize like it can be an easy, cute toy and doesn't have to be like doing the damn most. Which I am like the king of doing the damn most. So if I'm saying that, hopefully it means something. I don't know. I worry for all the kitties, you know? Am I, you know, a little too paranoid? Maybe. But also, like, am I like fully aware that someone may come on here and be like, don't get this anywhere near your cat? Yes. Because that person probably has a very valid reason for having that opinion. But just be careful, okay? and I'm just like sewing the hell out of this. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm going to make another one, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not anything crazy fancy, but your cat doesn't need fancy. Your cat needs to be stimulated mentally and physically, and you know, and 'tis the season to be creepy. And what's creepier than a spooky little cat that likes to play with you know, that likes to defile graves. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.